That's my buddy.
Marry me with my money.
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise swearsies it's just a fact and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we're diving into rSlash NeckbeardStories. Yes indeed, a story actually from rSlash NeckbeardStories. Would you just love to see it? I do love my personal subreddit r/slash ReddX reads, but I like to save those stories a little back pocket action for a day when things are moving a bit slower. In r/slash NeckbeardStories today, we have the continuation of the tale of Jake from Philadelphia, Philly Cheese Jake, as he has been lovingly branded by both the subscribers and myself. It doesn't seem like the OP has picked up that name for him, which is unfortunate, but I know it's just a matter of time. We got 3 parts today, and that'll get us caught up on this saga. There are more parts to come, according to the OP. He says it in the very first part of the 3rd post that we're reading today, so I won't call it done quite yet. We might see some more from him, and I'm always looking forward to it. So without any further delay, let's get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into this NeckbeardStories cringe. The Tale of Jake from Philadelphia, part number 5. Hey everyone, welcome to part number 5. I'm going to go ahead and links part number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which are 2 separate videos. Those links in the description, as per usual, as long as I remember to do it. Everything that happens in this part are stories revolving around Ricky's interactions with Jake after I left, or stuff that was found out by the manager after I left. So, following my departure, Ricky was unfortunately left to deal with Jake and his bullshit all on her own. Oh, OP, how could you do this? But I understand, on to greener pastures and shit. You can't just stay at a job because your significant other also works that job. But I do feel slightly bad for her. But yeah, she is a tough woman. I was more worried about Jake pushing her too far and getting her in trouble for stabbing him, lol. Luckily, that never happened, although she probably came close knowing this dude. But there were plenty of annoying days ahead. With me out of the picture, the manager was forced to take on more responsibility than he was used to. Managers. Until then, I'd been handling a majority of the day-to-day work, leaving him to run overstock and babysit, just keep an eye on Jake. Since that was no longer an option, and Jake could no longer afford to stick to his side all the time, Jake filled his spare time by annoying Ricky at every chance that he got. To his credit, most of it probably was accidental. He's just so incompetent without the manager covering for him that he frequently messed up. He'd try to drag a pallet full of sugar through a space so small that the bags on both sides of the pallet would tear open. And then he'd drag that pallet around the store, looking for where they went in the store. They never moved the fucking sugar, he just kind of forgot. Yeah, Alzheimer's, bro. It's no laughing matter. He'd open cases of product, glance at the shelf, and then set the case down without even trying to search for it. He'd leave them on the aisle for someone else to pick up later, because he couldn't be bothered to look for more than half of a second. He flipped more than one cart by stacking product incorrectly, making it super top heavy, and trying to take sharp turns. He broke 5 cases of hot sauce in a single night, and then topped it off by breaking a case of pickles. Not the pickles, bro! God damn, I want some pickles. Both the hot sauce and the pickles got all over him. He supposedly smelled great. Got that nice vinegary scent. You're smelling more and more like a neckbeard, Jake. Congratulations. The dude broke an entire shelf of jelly because he couldn't reach a jar on the top shelf and didn't feel like going to find a step stool, so he climbed the shelf. This is a grown man trying to climb a thin metal shelf like he's some kind of idiot. Oh, wait. And that's just the stuff that he did at work. See, I've avoided mentioning this until now because I wanted to fully explain it. I've mentioned before that Jake doesn't have a license. It's not because he took the test and failed, or even that it was suspended. He has just never had a driver's license. Never even wanted to get his license, because he's always gotten people to drive him everywhere. So when he started working at the store, he decided the best thing to do was go out and buy a 10-speed bicycle that he never learned to shift into a higher gear, even after 2 years. What? It works a lot better if you shift, Jake. And he carried all his stuff around in his daughter's bedazzled pink pony backpack. Wait, he has a daughter? Oh Lord, that poor child. Bless her heart. Dude can afford to buy a 10-speed bike, but he can't afford a backpack? What is happening? I wish it stopped there. I really, really do. In rain, snow, or shine, Jake rode that bicycle 7 miles to and from the store. Well, you can't say he's not dedicated, I guess. And he did this without ever wearing so much as a poncho to keep the rain off of him. Instead, he thought it was cheaper
Just to use trash bags with a hole cut in them for his head to pass through.
He threw these away after every use, by the way. Somehow, knowing all that we know about Jake, the trash bags are just way too fitting. And he should throw them away after every use. The dude is foul. He's covered in hot sauce and pickle juice. What do you want? He also refused to buy a winter jacket, so the manager gave him one to keep him from dying in a -2-degree snowstorm. His reasoning for both?
He'd rather use his money on more important things.
Like, e-girls and the women that had been catfishing him. Now, I have nothing against either of those people. I mean, you do you, ladies. But if it came down to me freezing my ass off or sending some women across the country money in hopes that she might come visit me someday, sorry, ladies, a coat is winning every single time. Seems like what a reasonably intelligent person would do. And I don't expect that from Jake. Also, I got no problem with e-girls. Catfishing, it's a pretty shitty thing to do. Not Jake, though. He'd rather freeze to death than miss an opportunity to increase his chances of maybe, perhaps, someday getting a woman to sleep with him. Of course, Jake has an ex-wife, a 13-year-old daughter, and a 6-year-old son. So you'd be forgiven for thinking that maybe some of that money possibly went to his kids. Ah, those poor kids, man. Don't bring the kids into this. This is gonna make me feel bad. Nope, none of that money went to his kids. At least, not at first. He'd paid $25 a month in child support since their divorce. That's not each, by the way. He paid $25 every month for both of his children. That's $12.50 a piece. That's enough to live on, right? Bro, do the math on that. That's 41 cents a day. That's what UNICEF charges to feed those African kids. These kids aren't from Africa, right? I'm very confused. No, in Jake's opinion, that was
Way too much.
he took his ex-wife to court and sued so that she would have to pay him, even though the kids didn't stay with him. The judge, of course, ruled in her favor, and now he owes a little over $1,000 a month in child support. Oof, that one got turned around on you real hard, Jakey boy. Had you been a smarter dude, you would have just kept your fucking mouth shut. But wait, there's more. After the manager was put on leave for a second surgery, Ricky was put in charge of the stock crew. Jake hated that. He hated having a woman
in charge of him,
and he resented the store director for
putting her in charge and not him.
gonna come back from surgery, the whole grocery store gonna be covered in hot sauce and pickle juice. So he told Ricky at least once a week
that she wasn't his boss.
And God forbid she tell him not to do something that the store director asked her to pass on. Yes, Jake cussed Ricky out because she passed along a message from the store director. And he told her,
"No, you don't get to tell me what to do, Ricky. You tell them that they need to come tell me their messages in person, or I won't do it."
Yeah, that went over really well. This is getting a bit long, but we're getting close to present day Jake, which will be the subject of the next post. I mean, the empathetic side of me feels bad for this guy who has to ride 7 miles on a mountain bike to and from work, wearing his daughter's pink bedazzled pony backpack, wearing a trash bag as a raincoat. But like, you did all of this to yourself, you know? Takes his wife to court to try and get like alimony payments out of her and ends up just getting slammed by the judge, as he should. The dude just seems to lose at every turn, and it is so beautiful to watch from the sidelines as his life devolves further and further. And of course, Ricky was assigned as the stock manager. This dude is so incompetent. He can't even remember where the sugar goes. He can't get it out of the back room without ripping it on the door frame. Like, if you had half a brain, you could be the manager, Jake. But he don't, so he won't. And I love it. And I love how angry he gets about it. Like the bosses are going to put everything aside just to come down and tell him some dumb shit. Would you accept a note, Philly cheese Jake? Perhaps one that has been embossed with a wax seal? Oh, he's killing me. Let's get into the next post and die a little bit more together. The Tale of Jake from Philadelphia, part number 6, or Philly cheese Jake if you do prefer. Hello everyone and welcome to part 6. The following is present day stuff. So after the manager was put on leave for his second surgery, Ricky was put in charge of the stock crew. As I mentioned last time, Jake hated that. He hated it enough that he put in his 2-week notice. Oh, good riddance. And then he took it back a few days later. We were so close. For a little over 3 months, Jake put in his 2 weeks at least once a month. However, he always took it back. That's so hilarious. After about the third time you hand me a 2-week notice, I'm just going to be like, look, we don't even need the 2 weeks. Just pack up your shit. Go home. We don't need you anymore. Until last Wednesday, when he announced that
he was transferring out of state to work at another store.
I am not kidding when I say multiple people got together and planned he's finally gone party. Not a farewell party, a finally he's gone party. You'd think that with such a sudden announcement, he'd just been really good at keeping the secret, and his boss knew beforehand, right? Yeah, no. The store director learned about it the day before he announced he was leaving, and expected the transfer to be taken care of by the time he got to the new store on Friday. Somehow, the store director got it done. Miracle worker. He contacted the store that Jake wanted. Yes, he picked his own store and got the paperwork pushed through. God damn. They are bending over backwards for this incompetent asshole. Maybe I don't think so badly of management after this story. Here's where Jake's true self shined through. He got in touch with the manager, who was due to come back the following week, and had him agree to drive him to his new home. When the manager showed up to pick him up, he found a U-Haul trailer sitting in Jake's lawn, already filled to the brim with a load of weird shit, among which was a pair of 1-gallon trash bags full of twist ties that you get off those loaves of breads, a 3-foot wide container of little girls' hair clips, a bag of wood chips, and a container of frozen food. I mean, he also had normal stuff like clothes and small pieces of furniture. Thank God for that, or I would seriously think this dude's a serial killer. While Jake was finishing up loading that trailer, the manager spotted a 13-year-old girl wandering around in the front yard. This was Jake's daughter, who he'd just told very loudly that
it was her fault that he was leaving.
As if that wasn't bad enough, the girl was covered in bruises and had horrible swelling on her face. Oh, man. See, this is the part that tugs at the heartstrings. I always think we're just going to be in for a fun ride, but it never turns out that way. You get far enough into the story and it always turns ugly. I hate it. Apparently, she was visiting Jake the previous week. Some nearby girls, I was told they were like 16 plus, who were completing a gang initiation, or so Jake's daughter told the manager, had beaten the hell out of this little girl while Jake just watched from the window of his house. What the fuck, man? I mean, I knew he was trash, but at this point, this is where it all turns, and I'd truly like to see him dead. If you thought I was enjoying his misery before, now it's gonna taste 10 times sweeter. I hope nothing good for this fucking guy. So yeah, he literally sat there and watched his daughter get assaulted in his front yard. And when questioned about it later, he said,
"It wasn't my fight, so it's not my problem."
Bro, he's probably scared of those 16-year-old girls. We had known for a while that the only kid that Jake gave even half a damn about was his daughter. He told the manager that
he didn't want his son, only his daughter.
As if that wasn't bad enough, apparently he doesn't even care enough about her to save her from an assault happening just 20 feet in front of him. Human trash, man. He should just be condemned to always wearing that garbage bag so everybody can see what a trash human being he is. Sorry I keep talking about this, but I'm honestly pissed off. You and me both, OP. This is actually the reason that I decided to post this series to begin with. Well, I'm sorry that it took all of that. I'm grateful for the series, but if I could burn it all down and not have this little girl get assaulted, then I would do exactly that. After talking to Jake's daughter, the manager decided to get him as far away from her as possible. So he hopped in his truck and fucked off. Once they were outside the town limits, Jake pulled out a wad of aluminum foil from his bag and tossed it up on the dash. The manager asked why he was tossing his sandwich like that, and Jake responded by saying,
"That's not a sandwich, manager. That's my money."
Oh yeah, a lot of lettuce on that sandwich. What you got, $4 or $5 there? It's ballin'. This guy had taken every dime he had out of his bank account, totaling something to the effect of 10 grand, and was carrying it around in a single bundle. It's not a good idea. But wait, there's more. He then asked the manager
if he knew the proper steps to legally change his name.
Manager, of course, asks him why.
Because that bitch ex-wife of mine isn't getting another cent out of me. I'm gonna change my name and make it impossible for her to find me.
Shortly after this conversation, Jake mercifully just falls asleep and sleeps for most of the trip, as old men are wont to do. At some point after waking up, Jake started to brag about
this beautiful woman that he was in a relationship with in this new town.
No doubt the reason that he picked that store, but for some reason, he just couldn't get in touch with her. So he asked the manager to call her and ask what was up. The woman picked up and, in no uncertain terms, told the manager that she had blocked his number for a reason, and that if he, the manager, called again, there would be trouble. Okay. They arrive at the store Jake was transferring to, and lo and behold, they have no fucking record of his existence. If only the rest of the world could be so lucky. The manager contacted our store's director, who told him that Jake had given him an entirely different store number. So Jake either forgot the store number and told the manager to take him to the wrong store, or he told the store director the wrong number to send the freaking paperwork to. So at last check-in, Jake is somewhere in unemployment limbo. Oh, almost forgot. He sold his house entirely over the phone, got paid for it, and then tried to take all that back when he realized
that he'd sold his house to a Mexican woman.
What? She refused to go back on the deal, and I would honestly like to shake her hand for that alone. Jake is just such a weird, hateful dude, and he can't possibly fathom the fact that his hatefulness might be what causes his world to crumble around him constantly. The level of cluelessness, my God. Jake's plan, once he got to his new town,
was to purchase a small plot of land and a camper to live in.
But after arriving and having his quote unquote new relationship fall through, Jake decided
that the camper was just too expensive.
Jake would rather just live out of a hotel room and store all of his stuff in a storage locker. Okay, fair enough, I guess. The manager took him to a storage locker and then to his chosen hotel. Oh, and at the storage locker, Jake got the wonderful idea to headbutt the trailer until his head was bleeding, so he'd have a scar that would quote unquote
impress the locals.
What the Excuse me? This dude is absolutely insane. Upon arriving at the hotel, Jake apparently saw a bunch of African-American men standing around in the parking lot, and as he was climbing out of the truck, he said something to the effect of,
"There's an awful lot of nice people,"
but that was actually a word that starts with N and ends with R,
"around here, manager?"
Jesus. Understandably, the men in the parking lot didn't take too kindly to that, and the manager quickly assured them that he was just dropping them off, and they weren't friends, and that the manager's grandson was mixed, so he had no problem with any of them. They understood, but somehow, mysteriously, Jake's bike tires were slashed that night. And I just can't figure out why such a thing would happen to such a nice person. I think he's lucky it was only his bike tires that got slashed, man. Oh, and someone, the manager, called Jake's lawyer, who I'm pretty sure is also Jake's ex-wife's lawyer. He's a good lawyer. Wrung $1,000 out of that beardo when he took her to court. And told him all about Jake's plan to change his name, and then gave him the number of the store that he was trying to join and the name of the hotel that he was staying at. See, that's proof positive that the manager hated Jake just as much as everybody else, but he was trying to remain professional. But once he's out, all right, I'm gonna narc on him all day. Jake has called the manager 12 times since he was dropped off just last week to complain about
all the misfortune in his life.
He had to move to another hotel for some mysterious reason. Still no job, still no house, and of course, no women will come near him. In his last call to the manager, he said,
"Can you come and get me, manager? I think I made a huge mistake."
The manager replied by saying, "Sorry, Jake, but I didn't leave anything down there that I want back." Good luck to you, man. Holy shit! That is some fine evisceration. God damn, nobody wants you, Jake. If you crawled into a hole and somehow ceased to be, the world would be that much better for it. Jake still calls the manager to complain, which is a bit surprising considering that quite frank refusal. So I'll keep everyone updated if anything else happens. But as of now, that's all I have on Jake from Philadelphia. Thanks for taking the time to read this. There are very few beards that I hate as much as Jake from Philadelphia. Okay, the sexual assaulters, yes, they automatically get front-loaded to the top of the list. I would love to see them dead. But people who bring harm to children in any way, even if that's just by standing by and watching their child get beat, when honestly, they're 16-year-old girls. You can go over there and yell at them, and they'll all knock it off. Like, I don't understand what the logic is. Oh, it's not my fight. Like, yeah, but that's your fucking kid. It is your fight, isn't it? What an unfit parent. What an unfit fucking human. I hate Philly cheese Jake. And that's not even the last that we have on him. A new story popped up recently, which is what spurred me to get these last two out. So we're going to go ahead, jump on into it, and see if we can't get the series wrapped up. The Return of Jake from Philadelphia. Oh boy. Yep, you read that correctly. Jake came back. So for those who haven't read the first 6 parts and don't know who Jake is, I envy you. But TLDR, he is just one of the worst human beings that I have ever had the displeasure of knowing. And approximately 2 weeks ago, he left for lands unknown. And now he has mysteriously, unfortunately, come back. Here's the story as told over several conversations with my now ex-manager, who I'll refer to as BB for the sake of brevity. After arriving at the hotel in the last part, and being dropped off by the manager, Jake ran into some conflict with some local African-American gentlemen. Jake, as a staunch believer that white equals superior, said a word that starts with N and ends with R, and I only wish that it just could have been neighbor. Hello, neighbor. The tires on Jake's bike were slashed, and he fled to another hotel. After getting his tires replaced, which he tried to do by taking the tires off a display bike at Wally World, Jake was pulled over on his bike for riding into oncoming traffic. Oh, if there was ever a time to wish for a drunk driver. The officer, presumably just trying to be nice, let Jake off with a warning to stay in the bike lane. Jake is pulled over 3 more times for the same thing. To my knowledge, he somehow avoided getting a ticket, but fret not because it does not end there. Jake was involved in a hit and run while doing the same thing that he'd already been warned 3 times not to do. Why? Because he believed
that he had the right of way on the road at all times, and so getting hit by this car was obviously the fault of the driver, not Jake.
Not Jake. It couldn't be Jake's fault. Is anything ever Jake's fault? Here's the kicker. He didn't report it to the police because
he thought that would allow his lawyer to find him.
But Jake wholeheartedly believes that the person that hit him and fled the scene was his ex-wife. This dude is crazy as hell. Never mind that she lives and works in a completely different state, and by Jake's own admission, he didn't tell her where he was going to be because he planned to change his name and get out of paying child support. It just
had to be her because the car looked so similar to hers, and because she's an evil bitch.
Oh boy. Delusions on top of delusions. A few days after almost dying, Jake is back on the roads with a brand new bike. And just in time, too, since his paperwork finally came through at the new store and he's supposed to start in just a few days. In the 4 days he was waiting to start working, he changed hotels 2 more times for reasons that remain unclear. But it was finally here, the day he was supposed to start his new life and possibly find someone to date him. Jake was so excited, like a kid on Christmas. He gets to the store, and this is where things get murky, because Jake was tight-lipped about the whole incident, but since
His new boss was a woman.
and as stated in an earlier part,
Jake doesn't like the idea of a woman telling him what to do.
that could have had something to do with the fact that just 2 days later, Jake was getting on a bus and returning here, leaving all of his earthly possessions in another state. Jesus, I'm not big on like having a plan for life or meticulously planning out day-to-day stuff, but at least have an outline. At least act like you know what the hell you're doing. Oh yeah, and since he sold his house, he's also currently homeless. Probably why he left his stuff. Ain't got nowhere to keep it. Though it's unclear if that will still be true after he ends up getting here. What's even worse, the store director at my old store, yes, the one Ricky still works at, has been bugged by Jake so much that he is allowing him to come and work at the store again. Oh no. So to recap, the guy who spread rumors about me because he thought I was
A playboy.
who was cheating on his girlfriend, spread rumors about Ricky because she had the gall to tell him that his
Protection.
wasn't needed, made life at the store basically hell for not just the two of us, but many, many other people as well. And now, he's being welcomed back after leaving with practically no notice and demanding that the store director transfer him to another store because he wanted to run away from his ex-wife and 2 kids. What? So, I have zero doubts that more Jake stories are to come. Thanks for reading. Oh, Jesus. I fear for the future at this point. I mean, I thought that the story was going to be over with part 6. Mercifully. I hope that it was going to be over, but that just couldn't be the case. That would be far too easy. And so the Neckbeard train keeps on a-rollin'. I do see a lot of comments in the threads from OP questioning whether or not Philly Cheese Jake should count as a true neckbeard. As you folks well know, my 2 specifications for neckbeardery are delusions of grandeur and a sense of entitlement. Just alone, the fact that he thinks he should be the manager over a woman despite being clearly less qualified and less competent is enough for me to call him neckbeard. He's also got a little bit of that stories about Kevin, you know, not knowing how to shift his bike and wearing a trash bag that he throws away instead of a poncho and thinking he can run away from his child support payments and stuff like that just by changing his name. Well, you have to process paperwork to change your name, don't you? I think they're gonna put 2 and 2 together. Adoy. So I don't know, man. Jake seems to be quite a specimen. I'm sort of happy on some level that we'll get more stories about him, but I still fear for Ricky's safety because this guy is obviously a loose cannon in many, many ways. So stay safe out there, OP. Keep your lady safe. It seems like you both got good heads on your shoulders, but never underestimate the animosity of a neckbeard cornered. Oh boy. Anyways, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you'll like, comment, and or subscribe. If you did, check out all them links in the description. All kinds of plugs down there. I added some playlists and stuff down there too, in case you missed out on those. There's also my social medias. Hey, Facebook, Twitter, Discord. Come and join me. Say hello. Oh, and also my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. I'd like to thank them all as I do every video. So thank you very much. Calvicus, Fatboy Shrimp, Robert Waits, TSM Kirby, Aaron W, Twisted Child, Delicious Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Fire Drake, Livison, Mr. Anime Manga Fan, Silent Revolver, Zero My Max, Magdalene Marshall Thornrose, Little Lone Wolf, Vanilla Mel, Roustower, Satori, Babsy-kun, Caustic Fox, Disposable Waifu, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, Hadrian BR, Heathcliff, OG James Cook, A Pimp Named J. Crisp, JM Kun, Jerry, John Hero, Miss Monday, Lord Lion-O, Jackets Rule, Melgar the Destroyer, Mirthful Baker, Mr. J, my boy Nat One Nick, Lady Nix, Origami Steve, Katykins Elizabeth, Sidestep, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ice, Siegfried, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant Tamago, Tato Ferret, Teddy the Police, 10-Ton Monster, That Duck and Bug, The One True Fusky, Treeberg, Wilmax, Redwind, Goose as Honk, Leon Embers, Naga Viper, John Endors, and Normal Joe, Amara, A-Roxers, Cake Jerry, that's a different Jerry! Cinnamon Bunny Dog, KJW, Kajow, Crafty Kitty Cat, Little Ann Woods, Mark 211, maybe next time, Milkfed Gimp, Miss Duchess, Organic Cam, Princess Rosalie, Ghosty, Raptor Art, Ellie, The Last Shinobi, and the Necrobomicon. Good lord, that list is getting long. Thank you guys so very much for supporting the channel in the way that you do. I appreciate it more than words can say. I hope some other people will consider signing up, but if you can't do it right now, that's alright. I mostly appreciate you just coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you'll come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there. Wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe, like watching some more ReddX videos. Sounds good. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I shall see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye-bye.